Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that feels so now, stress. But what if I told you that this whole struggle for mental balance, it isn't new at all? Nope. Turns out, it's a story that's thousands of years old.
I mean, let's be real. Are you feeling the pressure? Juggling work, your personal life, and just everything else that gets thrown at you? The pace of modern life is relentless, and it's no surprise that chronic stress and anxiety are on the rise. If you feel overwhelmed, trust me, you are in very, very good company.
But here's the thing we're going to explore. That feeling, that constant search for a little bit of mental quiet, it's not just a 21st century problem. It actually connects you to a struggle that's been a core part of the human experience forever. You, my friend, are part of an ancient story.
And when I say ancient, I mean ancient. Just look at this timeline. For literally millennia, we've been trying to figure out and treat what we now call stress. Our journey kicks off way back in 6500 BCE with evidence of brain surgery, of all things. Then, you jump forward to 400 BCE, and you've got the Greek physician Hippocrates starting to think, hey, maybe this isn't about demons. Maybe it's something natural. A little later, in the 3rd century BCE, the Stoics in Athens completely changed the game with how we think about our own emotions. And by the 13th century, you've got hospitals using music as a formal kind of therapy. It's a heck of a story.
So you have to wonder, right? How did our ancestors even begin to make sense of this invisible torment? I mean, long before we had brain scans or talk therapy, they had to come up with some way to explain why people were struggling so much on the inside.
And it really boiled down to two big ideas. On the one hand, you had the supernatural explanation. Cultures from Mesopotamia all the way to Egypt pretty much believed that strange behavior was the work of evil spirits, or maybe it just made the gods really angry. They even had names for these spirits, like the Hand of Ishtar, which was thought to literally take you over. But on the other hand, some cultures looked inward. They saw mental struggle as an internal problem, a disruption of the body's natural harmony. You know, things like the flow of qi in Chinese medicine, the 3 doshas in Ayurveda, or the 4 humors in ancient Greece.
And this is where you can see this deep belief in the mind-body connection. It's fascinating. In traditional Chinese medicine, for example, it was thought that if you were angry all the time, it could literally make your liver qi, get stuck. Or in Ayurveda, too much of something called the Vata dosha was linked directly to feelings of anxiety and fear. And of course, there's the famous one from the Greek physician Hippocrates, who linked an excess of black bile to what he called melancholia. They were literally creating a language to describe how our feelings physically affect us. Okay, so if that's what they thought was going on, what did they do about it? Let's get into the healing arts. Because depending on what you believed, the treatments ranged from fascinating and holistic to, frankly, pretty terrifying.
And we're going to start with the most extreme one, trephination. Yep, that is exactly what it sounds like. It's the practice of drilling, scraping, or cutting a hole into a person's skull. And get this, it's the oldest surgical procedure we have any evidence for, with some skulls dating all the way back to 6500 BCE. It wasn't just in one place either. This was happening all over the ancient world.
Now I know what you're thinking, but here's what's so wild. There was a logic to it. You just have to put yourself in their shoes for a second. If you truly believe an evil spirit is trapped inside someone's head causing all this chaos, what do? Well, you create an escape hatch. And the craziest part? People survived this. We found skulls with clear signs of bone healing around the hole, which means patients lived for years afterward. And in some cultures, that little piece of bone they removed was sometimes worn as a charm to keep other demons from getting any ideas.
But okay, it wasn't all skull drilling, thank goodness. For a much gentler approach, let's look at the Asclepion healing temples in ancient Greece. The whole process was completely holistic. It started with catharsis, which was all about purification, cleansing baths, a special diet, the works. Next came incubation, where you'd go to sleep in a sacred dormitory, fully expecting to have a dream where the god of healing, Asclepius, would visit you and basically tell you the cure. And in the morning, a priest would help you figure out what the dream meant and then prescribe your treatment, which might just be a relaxing trip to the baths or the gym. It was a complete healing journey for mind, body, and spirit.
And this idea of creating a total healing environment, it was taken to a whole new level in medieval Islamic hospitals, which were called bimaristans. This right here is the site of one in Morocco, built way back in 1286, and it was a true pioneer in using music as formal therapy. Imagine being a patient in a place that used the sound of running fountains, live musicians, and calming recitations to soothe your mind.
Now, while all of this was going on, spirits, herbs, healing dreams,
A quiet, philosophical revolution was starting to brew, and it shifted the focus away from all those external things and onto the one thing we actually have some control over, our own minds. And this was the game-changing idea from the Stoic philosophers.
This quote from the Stoic philosopher Epictetus says it all. People are disturbed, not by things, but by the view which they take of them. Just let that sink in for a second. It's such a radical idea. What he's saying is that the bad thing that happens to you isn't what causes your suffering. Your suffering comes from the story you tell yourself about that thing, your judgment, your perception. Basically, we are responsible for how we feel. Wow.
So the Stoics broke this down into this brilliantly simple tool we can actually use. It's called the ABC framework. A is the adversity, the thing that happens. So let's say you get stuck in a massive traffic jam. C is the consequence, your emotional reaction, right? You feel angry, stressed out, your blood pressure's rising. But here's the Stoic genius. A doesn't cause C. There's a step in the middle, B, for your belief about the event. If your belief is, this is a catastrophe, my whole day is ruined, then yeah, you're going to feel awful. But what if you could change that belief to something like, okay, this is annoying, but hey, I can listen to my favorite music. You change the belief, you change the emotional consequence.
And if you're sitting there thinking, hey, that ABC thing sounds kind of familiar, well, you are absolutely right. It's amazing how this ancient wisdom directly paved the way for the wellness practices that are so popular today.
This is the big aha moment, right here. This is where it all connects. That Stoic ABC model, that idea of changing your beliefs to change your feelings, that is the direct ancestor of one of the most effective modern therapies we have, cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. And the ancient use of herbs in Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine for stress, it's totally echoed in our modern obsession with adaptogens and supplements. Those mindful movements like Qigong and Tai Chi, they're basically the foundation of today's mindfulness and meditation practices. And the incredible use of sound in those Bhimara stands, that's a clear forerunner to modern clinical music therapy. The past isn't even past, it's right here with us.
So when you look at the whole story, from drilling holes in skulls and dreaming of gods, all the way to CBT and clinical music therapy, yeah, our tools have definitely gotten a lot better. But it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Has that fundamental human quest, that deep, timeless need for balance, has that really changed at all? It seems like that search for harmony is just a permanent part of our story. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.